Okie dokie. Did I tell you about one of the greatest fears we had when we were children? It was fire. There was no way to put a fire out by fire engines. There was no such thing. The neighbors were all in the same boat and with the same fears. Forest fires were dreaded, and when we saw them in the distance, we trembled and hoped and prayed for rain. Many times we watched distant fires with great interest and fear, especially at night times when we saw the flames and the smoke. I never was close to a forest fire, but we did experience dry hay fields going afire. I believe the few times it happened with us, it was due to a cigarette carelessly thrown. You know how we put this type of fire out? We beat it with branches, making sure it didn't start again. Every member of the family had to act, and act quickly, from the younger ones to the older ones. The fire would spread quickly, so at the first yell, we all knew what to do. Thank heavens, we had only a few of those experiences. Another thing we dreaded was the severe lightning storm. We lived on the top of what was known as Gates Hill. As I've said before, lightning often struck the tall trees growing along the fences, and there were many of them to attract the bolts of lightning. I remember one such incident. The tree was about 60 or 70 feet away from our house, and it was struck. We saw the flash, heard the bang and the cracking of the tree. We were frightened. It was so close. The tree split into several pieces, and the lightning burned the grass from the tree in different directions, some almost reaching the house. Had the tree been closer to the building, our home could have been destroyed, and perhaps we would have been hurt. Whenever we had such a terrible storm, we lit holy candles and prayed a lot. There were some catastrophes in our neighborhood due to such storms. In fact, one of our neighbors, quite a distance away from us, was killed when the tree close to his house was struck and he was in the doorway. We never stayed outside during the storms. We were always inside a building, either the barn or the house. Even the open shed where the wagons and heavy machinery were kept were not safe places to be, because the iron could attract a nearby bolt of lightning. It took me years even into adulthood before I could overcome my fear of lightning storms. I remember driving home from teaching in Gilead one day during a bad storm when lightning struck a telephone pole not too far in front of me. My car stalled, and I almost drove into the bushes along the road. I don't know what really happened. I was dazed for a few minutes. I think from fear, mostly, probably. I felt very fortunate when I saw the damage done to the telephone pole. It was on fire, and it was split. One lesson we always were aware of during these storms was respect the power of the lightning. As I mentioned, and you heard, two of the big dreads was always fires, either chimney fires or forest fires. Also, the bad electrical storms because of so much danger from barbed wires along the fences, or even as separations from other sections of property, and so many tall trees liable to be struck. But we also dreaded the awful blizzards we often had during the winters. In the long run, the children loved it, but not the oldsters. It seems rather odd these days, over 50 years later, that there are so few blizzards there in Salem, Connecticut, as compared to yesteryear.